Welcome to our On Topic podcast. If you're a person who wants to hear and diversify your knowledge on various topics, then you're at the right place. In this bi weekly podcast, we bring in various highly accomplished individuals from various backgrounds to highly valuable pieces of advice and nuggets of wisdom. So today, I am Amanda, and I'll be hosting today's topic. Are NFTs the new frontier for investments with Mr. Alvin Coy as our guest of honor? So before we dive into our topic with Mr. Alvin, please allow me to introduce our speaker first. So Mr. Alvin Coy is the founder of ArtGem, which is a generative art NFT company that collaborates between a real-world artist and his programmer son, Nicholas, to capture all his personal art styles into codes and algorithms. All right, then let's dive into our topic today with the first question. I hope you're ready, Mr. Alvin.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Okay, so my first question is, a new coin shares report notes that Google Trends data suggests we reached peak NFT hype at the beginning of December 2021. And this argument is also backed by data from the block, which highlights that the number of NFTs sold peak in November 2021. So my question is, what are NFTs and how exactly do they work?
All right. So NFTs, if you were to Google the word NFT, it stands for non-fungible tokens. Okay, but even before we get into the idea of what fungibility means, I would like to share what it means, right? So let's say you have a $10 note. Okay, a $10 note is the same as any other $10 note. You can interchangeably trade with each other. And within the same asset class, you can also have two $5 notes. And these two $5 notes can be interchangeably traded with the one $10 note. So this is what we call fungible assets. Now, fungible assets can also be like cryptocurrencies. For example, Bitcoin. One Bitcoin is the same as another Bitcoin, no matter how it is mined. Some may be mined using solar energy, some may be mined using coal, but two Bitcoins are the same. So cryptocurrencies are also fungible assets. Okay, like stocks and all that. These are all fungible assets. Now, once you understand what fungible assets is, now, what is non-fungible assets? Now, non-fungible assets means things that cannot be interchanged or traded with each other. For example, an artwork cannot be traded with another artwork, or even like a ticket pass, right, to a concert. Even though it may look the same, but the value of it may be different because that ticket, the same asset class, may enable a person to sit at front, or another one will enable a person to sit at the back. So the value of it is different. So that is what we call non-fungibility. So when we talk about NFTs, non-fungible tokens. So what is token? Now, a token is like a currency in the blockchain. So, for example, the Bitcoin blockchain, the native token is actually Bitcoin. The Ethereum blockchain, the native token or the currency is actually ETH. Okay. Now, there is another type of token which is called non-fungible token, which is it is something like a token which sits in the e-wallet of the owner, right? But it's locked into the blockchain, and it is you can actually trade this token, buy this token, okay? And this token is linked to something of value, used by way of a smart contract. Okay, so what is something of value? It can be digital art, it can be physical art, it can be properties, it can be wine, it can be a ticket pass, it can be something. So a smart contract will tell you that, okay, this non-fungible token, this token is is under the smart contract and locked onto the blockchain, and is linked to something of value. Okay, so that is what we call a non-fungible token, an NFT. Okay, good.
Okay, yeah, okay, that's interesting. So you mentioned cryptocurrency just now. So a lot of people cannot differentiate between currency and NFT. So may you explain the relationship between cryptocurrency and NFT?
Okay, like I mentioned earlier, cryptocurrency is a token. Okay, is a mathematical. It how to say it uses mathematical algorithm to crack certain codes, and then you get a certain token, right? So depending on the blockchain. So if you are on Solana blockchain, then your native token or cryptocurrency is SOL, Sol. Okay, if you are on the Ethereum blockchain, then it's Ether, right? So it's native to the blockchain, and as a token, it's used as a currency for transactions. Okay, so that is those are what we call cryptocurrencies. Okay, now what is NFT? NFT is also a token. I mentioned earlier that is a non-fungible token, whereas and the NFT, like I mentioned again, it is tied to a smart contract, and then you can put anything in the contract from the real world. For example, rare wine. So if somebody bought this NFT, this non-fungible token, then you're under social contract, or which is written in a smart contract, that you should deliver the rare wine to the buyer of the NFT. Okay, so it's similar as cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrencies, as in the token, those are fungible tokens. I mentioned that the cryptocurrencies are actually fungible tokens, because two bitcoins are the same value and it can trade with each other and all that stuff. So there's fungible tokens, whereas non-fungible tokens are you link it to artwork or digital art, or things which are non-fungible.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. So I have another question. So in 2018, one artist named Xcopy, he created a GIF format NFT called Right Click and Save His Guy, which became one of the most expensive in 2021, selling for 1,600 Ether or ETH in early December through the digital collectible market Super Rare, and that by then meant about $7.8 million. So how exactly do NFTs gain value, and why are these so expensive?
Right. That's a good question then. So NFTs can, like I mentioned earlier, it can be linked to anything of value. And usually when it's non-fungible, that particular product or service or a digital copy of something, it cannot be replicated. That means, and these are collectibles. So based on the principle of supply versus demand, if there's scarcity involved, okay, and scarcity means like, I mean, there's not enough production of that particular thing. It can be like a rare item, right? Collectibles, right? And it is it's rare, and many people want it. So of course, the price will be people will bid on the price, and then it goes up very high, right? So it's just like any other collectibles or rare items in the real world, whereby many people want it, but there's only one or two available. That's why the price will go up very high. So NFTs are the same. It's non-fungible. Mostly it is artworks or rare items, collectibles, digital collectibles, and stuff like that. So if a very popular influencer, for example, let's say Snoop Dogg, a very famous rapper with millions and millions of loyal fans, he puts up an NFT and using a smart contract and says that this particular NFT is one and only. There's only one edition, and it comes directly from him. He probably creates a cap, right? Let's say the particular cap that he wore for the Super Bowl mid-show performance, and he NFT that cap and says that this is a rare item and it's one and only. He wore it during the Super Bowl performance in 2022, right? So if he says that and then there's only one cap and he puts it as an NFT, and he has millions and millions of fans. So all these fans will want to, hey, I want the cap because now I got this bragging right that I actually own that particular cap. Okay, but there are, for example, there will be many other caps, but it is not the exact cap that he wore during the Super Bowl midway show, right? So if he does that, if he NFTs that cap, what will happen to the price? It can go up to hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on the collectors, right? So that's the beauty of it. That's why NFTs can go up very high in price.
Okay, so like what you have said just now, NFT are digital representations of real world things like art, music, videos, and in-game purchases. So each token is unique, which is what makes it non-fungible. And they've also become quite popular with collectors of all types, including sports, trading, card collectors. So for the audience, are NFTs a good investment? And what is the risk of investing in NFTs?
Okay, this is not financial advice. So everybody needs to do their own research. Okay. Now, as in any collectibles, right, there is always a short supply, which is very scarce, and potentially there will be a huge demand. So of course, the more demand for it and the scarcer the product is, the more valuable it gets, right? So if you think on the longer horizon, longer term, that okay, if I bought into an NFT and there are a million people who was crazy about this product and it comes from a super influencer and there's only 100 editions, right? And the price is only like 1,000 ringgit, right? So and the community is really crazy and wanting to buy it, and you have got the white list or to actually buy it before the public sale, right? It's like a pink form before the IPO of a company, and you got a white list, right? So it makes sense. Like, okay, if I bought it for 1,000 ringgit and worth of course, you buy NFTs using cryptocurrencies. So let's say 1,000 ringgit worth of ETH, and you get to buy that, and there is a very high chance that this you can profit a lot from this particular thing, right? So it really depends on the supply and demand. At the same time, as in digital art, some people, they love the art so much and the artist is so popular, and he produces like only one piece of artwork a week. So he sells it cheap, and then he's got a lot of fans, and you get a chance to buy it cheap, then yeah, it's a good investment. But however, there are many scams. There are many avatar projects. Avatar projects are like projects with 10,000 edition. So 10,000 edition is not small. Okay, it's some people, they will just create many variations and layer all the different features on a profile picture, and then depending on the rarity of each feature, some will be more rare than the other, right? And then of course, people will want to buy the rare ones, and if you were to buy the common ones, so some people, most people, if they get the common ones, they will sell it off cheaply. And if you got the common ones, right, and the project is not like going anywhere, then you'll lose your money, right? So be very, very careful. There are so many 10,000 edition project. We call it a profile picture project. Okay, there's so many, and then most of these projects are all hyped up, right? And if you're just, if your project fails, what you have in your hands is only a JPEG. So, and you cannot sell, and then you're going to lose your money. However, there are many projects with high utility. Okay, utility means that a team actually does a project. It creates a profile picture, and then it brings in a lot of utility for a project, right? For example, if you own a particular profile picture of a certain project, and if the roadmap of a project is very good, and it says that, okay, if you own this particular NFT, then you can how to say, you have a special pass to a real world concert, right? That is a utility. Or you can get into a VIP viewing room for a Super Bowl event, and then you hang out with all the professional sports stars, right? That is a real world event utility, right? And you can only gain access to all these real world passes if you held an NFT with a certain rare feature, right? So everybody will want that rare feature and all that, and then people will be offering big money for that NFT. So it's like a real world, it's tagged to a real world pass or a real world product. For example, very recently, the clothing brand Diesel, right? It tied up with a project, and then anybody who owns that particular profile picture NFT from that project, right, will get access to early access to Diesel's new NFTs. So Diesel is coming out with new NFTs. If you bought Diesel's NFTs, you are given certain privileges like buying real world products at a discount, or get to buy certain real world products which are rare, limited editions and stuff like that. So, and then if they tie up with that particular profile picture project, everybody will want to buy the NFT of that project, because then they can have early access to the Diesel's upcoming NFT mints or sales or pre-sales, things like that, right? So that's why buying into NFTs which has real world utility value, that is very important, and then you'll see that your investment will always go up in price.
Okay, so I do believe that NFTs is receiving a lot of hype from people right now. And a lot of people think that NFT is actually a bubble waiting to burst. So, Mr. Alvin, what do you think of this statement?
Yeah, definitely it's true. The blockchain, the Web3, and the NFT world is rather new. There's no regulation, and it's what we call the Wild Wild West. Okay, that's where you're at the frontiers of technology, and that's where wealth is being created. Of course, money can be lost also, because there are a lot of scammers and all that. Now, with the idea, with NFTs, in the early days, any NFTs will sell, because there's novelty factor involved. You get a 12-year-old kid who scribbles some lizard cartoons, and then it sells like crazy. Why? Because it's a novelty factor, right? But as the industry becomes more and more mature, people have been there, done that, seen everything, got the t-shirt, and there's the novelty factor wears off. Now the real deal will come when people want value. Either the art must be amazing, or there must be major utilities tied to the NFTs. So those projects which are Me Too products or copycats, and there are hundreds and hundreds of copycat projects which are not breakthrough projects. It's been done a million times by others, and then they just ape into it and try to copy and try to do it and hype it up using influencers, paying influencers to hype it up, and people will just buy FOMO, fear of missing out. So they FOMO in and buy it, and then they'll lose all their money. So 90% of NFTs are going to burst because 90% of these NFT projects are just hyped up, and there's not much values. It's just, and there's no utilities. Some are scams, right? So 90% will die. So people got to be very, very careful. That's why I mentioned again, do your own research, and this is not financial advice, right? The real deal, it will withstand the test of time. The real deals are the ones with major, very strong community and network. That means in that, the people who bought into the NFTs are influencers or important people who, and whenever they tweet or share, they bring in all their influencer friends with millions of fans. So if the community is strong, the project, and if the community has very good values, utility, real world utilities and all that, that project will be very successful. However, if any Tom, Dick or Harry launches their project with no proper roadmap, no proper utilities or influencers or community, then the project will not go anywhere, and then you'll wither and die. 90% of projects are such. Another type of NFTs which may have good value is fine art, because initially artists, they are not technical animals. They don't know how to set up the blockchain and smart contracts and all that stuff. They don't know. So of course the techies will start doing all that stuff, right? But these days the fine art artists are partnering up with techies, right? Coders, programmers, and they come up with projects, beautiful artworks with real world events, because these are fine art artists with many exhibitions and all that. So when they partner up with technology savvy people who can create a smart contract, a website, the marketing and all that stuff, then combined with very good fine art, and you know that fine art will always withstand the test of time. So, and of course, combining real world events, like for example, visits to the artist studios, or have a private dinner with the artist, so that will, and build out the fan base and all that. So if you help an NFT or fine art NFT of that particular artist, then you see that your value will always withstand the test of time. I mean, your investment in the NFT will always withstand the test of time.
Okay, so I also have another crucial question, and I think it is only right for me to ask this. So as we all know that the Malaysia government has not approved cryptocurrency as a legal tender. So how do Malaysians invest fiat money into cryptocurrency and NFT? And do you have any tips on selecting good NFTs to invest in for our audiences?
Okay, I mentioned earlier that what kind of projects will fail. Those Me Too projects, those projects with lousy quality aesthetic values, those projects with no proper roadmaps or community or utilities, those will fail, right? So it is just like, I mean, an NFT project is a company, a technology company. Okay, if you were to invest in something, an NFT, you're actually buying into the technology company. Now, you will want to know who are the people behind the company. Are they just a picture profile? Because most NFT projects will just put their picture profile. You don't know who they are. So today they don't have accountability. So you will need to know, okay, these projects are actually run by humans, not some monkeys behind the scene. Uh, so you want this project to have proper people, proper team to execute. Who's the artist behind it? Is the art good? Because if the project fails, all you have is a JPEG, right? So is the art good? Do you like the art? Right? Will you actually hang the art on in your room? You print it out and hang it in your room. If not, then the art is not good enough. And who's behind the project? I don't know what kind of community. So if the project is for little kids and um, small like little children, some projects of picture profiles of little cute little dogs and all that stuff, right? So who will be the buyers? The buyers will potentially be children and all that, with parents' money and all that. So the community for that project, because of the owners of the NFTs are actually uh, children, school children or something like that, right? Then there won't be any not much commercial value that you can bring into it. But for example, if the art is good and then it is fine art, and who will be the buyers of all these fine art NFTs? It will be investors, bankers, galleries, people with access money who can buy art and all that. So when hundreds or thousands of people buy into that project, the community consists of very important or high value people where they can bring in networks and partnerships into the project, and then the price of the NFT will float up for everyone, right? So that is one. Now, back to your question. So I went off on a tangent. So back to your question, Malaysia as the fiat money and all that stuff, right? Okay, so there are 4 or 5 approved marketplaces to buy cryptocurrencies in Malaysia, and these are all approved by Bank Negara. Okay, one of them is Luno. So it is fully approved by Bank Negara. All you need to do is just connect your bank account or your credit card to that service, and then you can transfer fiat currency into the account and use that fiat currency to buy cryptocurrencies. So you can do that. So once you buy Bitcoin or ETH, right, then you can actually use the Bitcoin or ETH to buy NFTs, because NFTs are being sold using cryptocurrencies depending on the blockchain that they are in. Let's say if you're on the Ethereum blockchain, then you use ETH to buy the NFTs. Yeah, so that's how you do it. Right? Even though Malaysia does not recognize cryptocurrencies as a currency, right, as a legal tender, but when you use the currency in the blockchain, in the Web3 ecosystem, it is a different ecosystem altogether. It is on a Web3 ecosystem. It's not on the real world thing. So you cannot actually use ETH, right, to buy your Coca-Cola or your McDonald's, because it's not legal tender. But you can use ETH to buy NFTs. You can use ETH to buy other products, digital products, and online or services. Yeah.
I see. Okay, so that's actually a fruitful sharing, and I actually have learned so much from that. And I think yeah, thank you for the sharing just now. So before I wrap up today's session, Mr. Alvin, do you have anything to say to our audience? perhaps about NFT. Maybe you want to, yeah, just something to say to the audience.
Right. So NFTs is very illiquid. That means it is, when you put money in, it's very difficult to uh, trade and sell very fast. It's not like how to say. It's not like something that you can, or it's not like fast moving consumer stuff where you can buy and sell very fast. So NFTs are very risky assets. So very important is that invest into something that in the kind of money that you put in is don't over invest. Okay, always do your own research. That's very, very important. Don't fall into the hype, right? That means when influencers they hype up certain NFT projects, right? Be very careful. Do not FOMO, fear of missing out. Do not FOMO into projects. There's a lot of scams involved, and these scammers they feed off FOMO, fear of missing out. So, for example, if you are very excited with a certain project and you want to buy, get into the whitelist to buy that project during the pre-sale, there will be scammers coming out with websites clones of that project and say that, hey, you got a whitelist, send me, and then you can mint the project now, or you can buy the project now. And then when somebody FOMOs into that and does that, they'll lose all their money. So there are so many of such things that are happening. So people wanting to get into this NFT world, be very careful, do your own research. Scams are happening every single minute, so really know what you're doing. And at the same time, cryptocurrencies are also very risky assets. It moves, do not trade. This is not financial advice, but I will not trade cryptocurrencies, as in trying to buy at the highest and then sell at the lowest and all that. Do not day trade. Generally, cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ether, it will trend up, on a macro scale, view. It will generally trend up, but not on a micro level where it fluctuates very, very aggressively. So if you were to invest in cryptocurrency, think of it as a 10-year investment. Put in the money and forget about it, and then whether it goes up or down, don't worry about it. It's a probably 10 or 20-year investment. Okay, so people will burn themselves if they are trying to trade and try to beat the market, right? So that's the advice. Young people, if you have some money, you save up, think of it as a long-term investment. Okay, don't get pulled in by all the hype, right? And don't FOMO in on all the projects. Only invest in money that you can afford to lose, right? And put it in, and then forget about it, and come back to it maybe 5 or 10 years down the road. Okay.
Okay, yeah. So thank you for that advice. So I guess it's a wrap for today. So all the members of OT Podcast would like to sincerely thank Mr. Alvin once again for being the speaker and our guest of honor for today's session. So we would also like to thank all the audiences who are currently tuned in to this episode. And we hope that today's session with Mr. Alvin has proved to be beneficial and insightful to you. So, if you would want to listen to experiences and stories of other key individuals in their respective pods, make sure to hit the subscribe button below and the bell icon to be notified each time we release a new episode. And if you would like to be a part of the OT podcast community, do follow us on our social media pages. And all the links to our social media pages are listed in the description below. With that being said, see you all in the next episode. Until then, take care and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.